When you hear the name Frankenstein, what's the first thing that pops into your head? Probably a big green monster with some bolts sticking out of his neck, right? Well, today we're going to forget all that. We are diving into the original story, and let me tell you, it is brilliant, it's tragic, and it is genuinely horrifying. It's the story of a scientist named Victor Frankenstein and the intelligent, well-spoken creature he created, only to abandon him. And to really get how it all went so wrong, we have to start with the words of the creature himself. Wow, just listen to that. That's not the grunt of some mindless beast, is it? Not even close. Those are the actual words of the creature, spoken to his creator. And that single sentence just captures the entire tragedy of this novel. See, this isn't really a story about a monster. It's a story about a being who is desperate for a little kindness in a world that only ever showed him hatred. So, how do we even get here? Well, the story doesn't begin with the creature. It begins with the creator, Victor Frankenstein. He's this young, incredibly brilliant student, and he is completely consumed by one single, very dangerous ambition. He wants to discover the secret of life itself. And look, this isn't just a casual science project. It becomes a sickness, an obsession. Victor completely isolates himself from his friends, his family, and he works like a madman in what he calls his workshop of filthy creation. He's destroying his health, he's cutting himself off from humanity, and it's a timeless warning, isn't it? About what happens when you chase innovation without ever stopping to think about the moral consequences. So how does he actually pull this off? Well, the process is as methodical as it is grotesque. First, he has his breakthrough, he figures out the secret of life, then comes the grim assembly part, and to make the work go faster, Victor decides to make his creation enormous, like 8 feet tall, using parts from slaughterhouses and dissecting rooms. It's stomach-turning work. And finally, on one stormy night, the moment arrives, he infuses a spark of life into it, and it works. And this right here is the first great tragedy of the story. The instant his creation's dull yellow eye opens, Victor's beautiful dream turns into an absolute nightmare. All that ambition, all that work, it doesn't end in triumph. It ends in total gut-wrenching revulsion. The being he imagined would be beautiful is, to him, a catastrophe. So what does our brilliant creator do? He runs. He literally runs away in terror. Just think about that for a second. He abandons his creation, who is essentially a newborn baby in a giant's body, leaving him totally alone, confused, and unprepared for the world. This one act of abandonment, this is the spark that lights the fuse for the entire devastating story. But Victor's story is really only half of the tragedy. Now we have to flip the script and look at things from the creature's perspective. Because his story doesn't begin with malice or evil. It begins with a profound and really painful innocence. He's a blank slate, and all he's looking for is the connection that his own creator denied him. And his journey is just incredible. At first, he's just learning basic survival in the wild. But then his real education begins. He finds a little cottage and starts secretly watching the family that lives inside. And through them, he learns about love and kindness and language. He even teaches himself to read. He becomes remarkably articulate. But when he finally builds up the courage to reveal himself, hoping they'll accept him, they just react with terror and violently chase him away. Can you even imagine the pain behind that question? After all that learning, all that yearning for a simple connection, the world's reaction forces him to see himself as a monster. It's this constant, universal rejection that finally hardens his heart and turns all that sorrow into a burning desire for revenge. Revenge against the man who made him this way. Okay, so after being rejected by all of humanity, the creature has a new mission: find his creator, Victor Frankenstein. And this confrontation kicks off a horrifying cycle of vengeance, locking creator and creation in a battle that is going to destroy them both. And the creature's revenge isn't random. It is surgically precise. He targets the people Victor loves most. First, he murders Victor's sweet little brother, William. Then, in a move of genius-level cruelty, he plants evidence on the family's innocent servant, Justine, making sure she gets blamed. And she is. She's executed for the crime. All the while, Victor knows the truth, but he's so paralyzed by his own guilt and fear that he says nothing. When they finally meet face to face, the creature's demand is honestly tragically reasonable. He just says, "Make me a female companion, someone as alone and hideous as I am." He promises that if Victor does this one thing, they'll disappear into the jungles of South America and never bother anyone ever again. But Victor is just horrified.
He can't get past the fear of creating a second demon, potentially unleashing a whole race of devils on the world.
Now, believe it or not, Victor reluctantly agrees. He gives in to the creature's demand. But this decision leads him and everyone he loves straight to the point of no return.
So he travels to this desolate, remote island in Scotland to do his grim work. He gets so close to finishing the female creature, but then he looks at his half-finished creation and he's just overwhelmed with fear about what could happen. So, in a moment of pure panic, he tears her to pieces. And the whole time, his first creation is watching him through the window. And that is the creature's response. It is one of the most chilling lines ever written. It is not an idle threat. It's a cold, calculated promise. Victor just destroyed the creature's only hope for a companion, for a bride. So now, his vengeance will be absolute. He's going to take from Victor the very same thing.
And he is devastatingly true to his word. First, he murders Victor's best and only friend, Henry Clerval. Then, on the night of Victor's wedding to his beloved Elizabeth, the creature slips right into their bedroom and strangles her. In a matter of moments, Victor's entire world is just gone. So with absolutely nothing left to live for but revenge, the roles are now completely reversed. It's Victor, the creator, who now obsessively hunts his creation across the entire globe, all the way to the frozen wastelands of the Arctic. And this final chase is just this desperate, maddening pursuit across the ice. The creature intentionally leaves clues and taunts for Victor, basically drawing him farther and farther into the desolate north. The hunter has become the hunted, and the creator is now driven only by the need to destroy. On the absolute brink of death from cold and exhaustion, Victor is rescued by an explorer ship. And it's on this ship that he tells his entire horrifying story. It's a powerful, timeless warning against ambition without responsibility. But his strength gives out, and he dies before he can complete his quest. And then, maybe the most incredible scene in the book unfolds. The creature himself appears in the ship's cabin, standing over the body of his dead creator. But he doesn't celebrate. No, he weeps. He confesses to the ship's captain that his revenge brought him no peace at all, only a remorse and an agony that even Victor never knew. With his creator dead, the creature's entire purpose is gone. He tells the captain that he's going to travel to the northernmost point of the globe, build a funeral pyre, and destroy himself, making sure no one can ever study his remains and repeat Victor's mistake. And with that, he leaps from the ship and is just lost to the darkness and fog. And that leaves us with the novel's central haunting question. Who was the true monster here? Was it the 8-foot-tall creature, driven to violence by a world that did nothing but reject him? Or was it the brilliant man whose arrogance led him to create a life, only to immediately damn it with his own fear and disgust? The answer isn't simple, and that's precisely why this story is still so powerful and so important today.